If you sell a $680,000 home on Staten Island, you're not walking away with 680. You're walking away with somewhere between 600 and 625. So where did that $55,000 to $80,000 go? Closing costs, transfer taxes, commissions, attorney fees, and a bunch of line items that nobody talks about until you're sitting at the closing table and taking home a lot less than maybe you thought. So today I'm going to break down every single fee that you'll pay when you sell a home in New York City, line by line, dollar by dollar, so there are zero surprises. I'm Joseph with the Bridge and Boro Team at Real Broker. We specialize in Staten Island and Brooklyn real estate, and I've sat at dozens upon dozens of closing tables. The number one thing sellers tell me after closing is, I wish someone had explained all of these costs up front. Or, well, really, they're saying thank you for explaining up front because I take my sellers through this already. But the transfer tax catches people off guard, right? That's one of the main things. The mansion tax catches people really off guard. That's more on the buyer side. And most sellers don't realize that closing costs can eat 6 or 8 or 10% of their sale price at the end of the day. So this video is the one that I wish every seller watched before they listed, right? I'm gonna use real numbers from our two boroughs, Staten Island and Brooklyn, so you can see exactly what applies to you. Now, quick heads up, I did build a free seller's net sheet calculator. You plug in your sale price, your mortgage balance, and it calculates every fee that I'm about to cover. It shows you your actual take-home number. It's a free download. Link is in the description and the pinned comment below. Make sure you grab that. It's free and it helps big time. So let's start with broker commissions. Commission rates vary. Every brokerage and every transaction is different, so I can't quote you a specific number. What I will say is that it's a relatively small percentage in the context of your total sale. The value that you get from a good agent, pricing strategy, marketing, negotiation, managing the entire transaction, it typically pays for itself many times over. What I do want to point out is this. The real costs that catch sellers off guard are not usually the commission, especially because that's figured out before we even list, and it's something that you and I agree upon. It's the transfer taxes, the attorney fees, the title insurance, and the closing costs that nobody warned them about, so that's what we're going to focus on today. This is the one that surprises people the most. In New York, the seller pays transfer taxes. 2 of them. First, the New York State transfer tax. That's 0.4% of the sale price for homes under $3 million. So on a $680,000 sale, which is the Staten Island median right now, it's about $2,700. Second, the New York City transfer tax. That's 1% for homes under $500,000 and 1.425% for homes at $500,000 above. So on a $680,000 sale, it's $9,690. Combine that, and you're talking $12,410. Now take a median Brooklyn home, $960,000. You're talking $17,520. That's money that the seller pays right at closing, comes right off the top, can't do anything about it. New York's got their hand out. New York State and New York City. Now this is more on the buyer's side, but a buyer may ask for you to cover this, so I just want to make sure that you know about it. But the mansion tax. So any residential property that sells for $1 million or more in New York City triggers the mansion tax. Starts at 1% and goes up to 3.9% on a progressive scale. So in Brooklyn, with an average sold price of $960,000, you're right there at the edge, right off the bat. And if your home sells for $1,010,000, congratulations, you just added $10,100 to the closing costs. So again, that falls on the buyer, but I've been in a lot of deals and I've been on both sides of this, and there are a lot of times where the buyer is, okay, listen, I'll pay your price, fine, but I'd like you to cover the mansion tax. So again, this is case by case, deal by deal. But regardless, here's the thing that most people don't realize. And another thing with this is that it's built in, right? So if you're teetering on the edge of $1 million, the buyer's already thinking, I'm going to be on the hook for 10 grand if we go over that $1 million mark. So their offers are always going to be right under $1 million. And if you're holding hard at $1,030,000, it's so close to the threshold that it could cause friction. It's annoying. Both sides have to deal with it. We'll figure it out, but just know that it exists right at that $1 million mark. Now, in New York, you are required to have a real estate attorney for the sale. This is not optional. It's the law. You have to budget $1,500, $2,000, $4,000, depending on the complexity of the transaction. I've seen this go from anywhere, like I said, $1,500 or so, $4,000, $5,000. I've had a $10,000 one because the deal was just unbelievable and it was a ton of work for the attorney, and these things happen. So then there's the title insurance. The seller typically pays for the buyer's title insurance policy. So again, $680,000 house, it's about $2,500 to $3,500. You're also going to have recording fees, satisfaction of mortgage fees, and if you're paying off a home equity line of credit or a second mortgage, there's fees associated with those payoffs as well. If you're in a co-op, which is about 75% of Brooklyn's apartment stock, there's usually a flip tax. This is a fee charged by the co-op board when you sell, and it varies by building. Some co-ops charge 1 to 3% of the sale price. So on a $600,000 co-op, that could be another $6,000 or $18,000. People get mad with a disposition fee when they return their lease and they owe $350 to Jeep or whatever. This is costing you maybe $18,000. It's crazy. Now, finally, you might owe property tax prorations and any outstanding HOA or maintenance charges. These as well settled at closing. So I had a seller once about a year ago stop paying her HOA for years, right? Literally like 5 or 10 years. She goes to sell it. It's not all final because in the beginning I said, okay, what's your HOA fee? Oh, I haven't paid that in years. I said, we need to get to the bottom of what that's going to be. $21,000 taken right off the top at closing. You cannot escape that. So just keep all these things in mind. Let's put it all together. I'm going to use the Staten Island median of 680 and we'll use Brooklyn's average of 960 just to have kind of two differing numbers on that scale. So Staten Island, $680,000 scale. Broker commission is varying, but your transfer taxes combined, $12,410. Attorney fees, maybe $2,000 or $3,000. Title insurance, $3,000. Miscellaneous recording, filing, all these BS fees, $1,500. So your non-commission closing costs alone, about 20 grand. Add in commissions or whatever you've agreed to with your agent, your total costs could be somewhere in an 8 to 10% total range. That's very standard in New York. Now let's take Brooklyn, 960. Transfer taxes, $17,500. Attorney fees, maybe $3,000, $3,500, right? The more it is, everyone has their hands out a little bit more. Title insurance, $4 grand, miscellaneous, $2,000. You're at about $27,000 in costs before commissions. And if you're selling a co-op with a 2% flip tax, add another 19 grand to that. Brooklyn sellers routinely face $45,000 or more in costs before even factoring in commission. And if you're near that $1 million mansion tax threshold, now we're adding up fast. Now, can you reduce any of these? Yes. And here's 4 ways. Number 1 is understanding all of your costs up front. Before you sign a listing agreement, have a clear conversation with your agent about what's included, what you're paying for, what your estimated net proceeds look like. It's going to limit your chances of surprises. Number 2, price your home correctly from day one. I know this might seem unrelated, but homes that sit on the market for 60 or 90 days almost always sell for less, and you're carrying the mortgage, taxes, maintenance costs for those extra months. On Staten Island, homes are selling in 38 days. If you price right, you're minimizing those carrying costs. Number 3, get a pre-listing inspection. This costs $500, $700, but it prevents the buyer from finding issues during their inspection and asking you to credit $10,000, $15,000 at closing. I've seen pre-listing inspections save sellers thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. Number 4, shop your title insurance and attorney. Get at least 2 or 3 quotes. The price difference can be significant. Now, the bottom line, between transfer taxes, attorney fees, title insurance, and all these other line items, selling a home in New York City comes with significant costs. But if you know what's coming, you can plan for it. You minimize where possible, and you could avoid surprises at the closing table. If you want to know exactly what you net from selling your home, I offer free home valuations. I'll pull the comps, I'll calculate your costs, and I'll give you a real number, no guessing. The link to book is in the description below, and grab that free seller's net sheet calculator while you're there. I'm Joseph with the Bridge and Boro Team. I'll see you on the next one.